All right, folks, I am back. I had a wedding this weekend, so I was not in attendance for a couple days there. Missed about 2 days there of camp. Missed Lamar coming back, but I'm sure you guys know that he's back by now. So here we are, coming to you live. I forgot to bring my notepad as I was coming back from New Jersey, so I didn't have it in the car. So I used my parking pass and my kind of check-in pass to take a couple pages of notes here from today's practice. So I got there. I usually get there like 10, 15 minutes after practice starts. I don't really care to watch them do calisthenics. But hey, if you guys want me to, I will. Let me know if you do. Don't think you do. So we got started there. Special teams return work, positional work, all that kind of stuff. Working on some returns and some things. This is going to be a little bit more sporadic. I'm all over the place today. My notes were not as organized as I like them to be because I didn't have my notepad. But receivers were working on a drill that I had not seen before, maybe just once for a little while. Keith Williams had them working. He had the lobster claws on. You bring on a gigantic padded claw, kind of like what a boxer would use to train with, kind of to slap. And then some body bag pads. So they were working on coming back on a hitch route or an inside breaking route and getting hit with the pad, having the lobster claw hit you and trying to kind of have your vision obscured and working on catches there. So that was nice. I had written down early on, Gus Edwards looked insanely lean. This was my first time seeing him. He looks ripped. He is chiseled. He's like vascular and, looks like he's ready to have a little more speed, maybe a little more flexibility. He's been developing as a pass catcher for years now. I mean, he was not a smooth pass catcher when he joined the Ravens in 2018. He was just, a running back that was really limited in the passing game. And now, he's working downfield, and we saw him have a couple more catches last year. Had a nice couple plays against the Giants in that one game. So he looks lean. He looks good. Looks quick. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do this year. I had the offensive line was working on the cheese grater from snap to bag. So they were just staying low, doing all that kind of stuff. So the Ravens were just in caps today. They didn't have any pads on. There was no, it wasn't full contact or anything. So it was, a little low energy to begin. Not, anything crazy. Powers was at right guard with the first team, it looked like. Makari was at left guard there with Zeitler still out. Harbaugh saying that Zeitler's going to be out, not for a really long time, but not for a really short time. So a couple weeks, something like that, which stinks. But, he'll be back. He's a veteran. They'll be okay. He has experience in the AFC North. He knows what to expect. He's a smart guy. So hopefully his foot does not persist throughout the year. DBs, they spend time every day kind of just, and, their coach, I'm not blaming the coaching staff or anything. It's just like they kind of every day just work on like a back pedal and then breaking on the ball and then catching an interception when they're by themselves. And it's just kind of like, that's what DBs kind of are paid to do. But at the same time, I don't see a lot of variation in it. So whatever. The coaches know better than I do. Like to see him do some different things is what I'm saying. I also wrote down Marlon's hands, LOL. I don't usually pay attention when they're doing it because they just kind of, go, it's like half speed. They go through their back pedal and then they change, they come downhill, they do their T-step and then they break on an angle and catch the ball. And Marlon just I watched him like 3 times and he just kind of doesn't know what to do with it. He's like Will Ferrell. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with my hands. Like he just, good thing he plays defense. We'll leave it at that. So that was funny. Saw Pat Ricard was getting stretched out. He looked like he was really tight. I had noted down that Josh Oliver's releases looked smooth. And I also, I'll get to that later. I'm all over the place. Sorry, my notes were very scattered. So what I had that was interesting that I hadn't fully realized is that, obviously there's Nick Boyle and there's Mark Andrews. Nick Boyle and Mark Andrews played 2 different positions. And I don't know exactly what I would call them. One might be an F, and Pat Ricard kind of plays the F one. There's the Y, there's the H, different things. But I just kind of realized today that basically it's like Ricard, Mason, Tomlinson, and Poyan will work alone, kind of going through blocking, going through hitting bags. Like they spend a lot of time not running routes, like work it. They emphasize blocking so much more than the other group who works with the receivers, which is Oliver, Wolf, and Andrews. So Oliver, Wolf, and Andrews are running routes, catching passes, doing one-on-ones, like things like that. Like while those other guys are all working on blocking a little bit more. So I just hadn't really like thought of that fully in my head. Sometimes we, all of the tight ends do come eventually. Like Keith Williams broke them into backs and tight ends and receivers, and they were doing the start-stop drills that I've described on here before. I'll talk about those, a little bit, but that was interesting. Just hadn't fully realized that. So, Oliver is vying to be, kind of the new Hayden Hurst is the best way to put it, I guess. And there's going to be some different things. Ardarius Washington had a great day today. Great day today. Looked fast. And again, I've been gone for a couple days, so I didn't see over the weekend, but he was flying. I think I had 3 pass breakups written down, and I actually forgot. Good thing I had my notes. Washington had a pick in one-on-ones, like a clean interception in one-on-ones. He looked really, 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 really good all day. I want to say I have it somewhere in my notes. I'm going to jump around, but Trace McSorley tried to target Bateman, who was kind of limited today. He came back to practice today, missed a couple of days there. So McSorley tried to kind of split Westry and Washington on it was like kind of like a corner, kind of like a go. It was like a little bit of a bent route. And McSorley floated one in the air. Westry, it was funny because Westry's 6'4", Washington's, 5'7", 5'8", whatever he is. And really, this is the thing about Washington. He's not much smaller than Tavon Young. He's just maybe a little tiny bit smaller than Tavon Young, it looks like. So that's his size. So it's not too bad. But Washington flew. This was in 7-on-7s. I have more notes on one-on-ones for receivers and DBs. So Washington flew. I think it was in 11-on-11 and jumped and was like well above the rim, broke it up. Westry had good coverage, and Washington was just moving today. He was making plays in the post. He was making plays as like a rat or a robber. So he was looking damn good today. A lot great coverage today from him. I had that Duvernay dipped on a 9 route. So Duvernay, I think he was against Demetrius Harris. I should have written it down. I did not. Duvernay dipped on a 9 route. So like I've mentioned before, Duvernay is really getting a lot of work on the outside in that Z position. And his releases are a lot more sudden, and he's starting to get more twitchy. I think he's always been a little too stiff. In college, I think you describe him as a linear athlete. Doesn't have a lot of wiggle, not very twitchy. He's just fast and strong and a vertical athlete. He's working on it. Keith Williams is getting work on him. He was able to do a little shimmy and then dipped his back and sealed and got all the way in front of whatever DB it was. Might have been Marcus Peters. I can't remember who it was, but it was like good coverage, and Duvernay was like moving like I've never seen him move before. And I'm like pop locking and dropping it, which is not what he was doing, but kinda. He really, really, really sealed himself around, and it looked really damn good. He had a beautiful touchdown catch, probably a 40-yard ball. He just looks like the deep vertical threat in the offense right now. Hollywood, I think, is going to be the other guy that does a lot of that too, and among other things. But I think that's where they like Duvernay, and he looks really good in that role right now. Mariner, can't recall his name. Ravens just signed him. 26, he's wearing as a wide receiver. His name is Sansai, whatever, something along those lines. Mariner. I didn't even look at his name. I saw it on Twitter in passing. Made plays several times. He was interesting. New addition. Keith Williams kind of laid into Jalen Moore after a hitch route. That was the first time I couldn't quite hear and I couldn't quite see Williams' face. He was either reaming him out or was being very constructive, but it was maybe the most animated I've seen Keith Williams. He's an animated guy. He was not happy, I don't think, after a hitch route from Jalen Moore where he kind of just throttled down and stayed still and didn't work back to the ball. So Keith Williams seemed to kind of lay into him a little bit. I'm not positive there. That's what it appeared like. Marlin had, the defense struggled today with penalties. They had, I think it was 3 offsides or neutral zones and like 3 defensive pass interferences. Marlon had 2. Marlon also got a Duvernay also pushed Marlon. There was like so many pass interferences, even on all. I think there was 2 on offense and like 4 on defense in like a 30-minute period between different 7-on-7 or 11-on-11, whatever it was. So it was a very grabby, kind of testy day in coverage. Marlon had a couple there. Marlon also made a couple good plays. He has the iPad more than any player I have ever seen at a training camp. Marlon consistently has the iPad out. If he gets beat, he's on the iPad immediately and is like not happy. And I love that. You love that. That's how you want your leaders to be. He's going back and watching it right after it happened, talking about it, going through it. He is so competitive is the takeaway from that. He can't tolerate being beat. And it's not like he's a baby about it. He just mentally has to go see what happened so he can go fix it. He's a pro, is what I'm trying to say. And love to see him getting that work in that way. Then they broke off into some more positional stuff. Backs were taking handoff steps. They're working on some tosses, some pitches, some quarterback steps, things like that. Then they went back into 7-on-7, 11-on-11 stuff. Tavon Young had a really nice 3rd down pass breakup on an RPO slant to Tylan Wallace. Wallace was pretty sharp. Tavon Young was right there. Perfect. Slapped the ball right down. He looked good. I saw Malik Harrison did have a couple snaps at outside linebacker, which I've kind of been waiting to see. Had on a 1st down. Lamar hit Sammy Watkins on a speed out. So Lamar generally today started out kind of slow, started out a little inaccurate, a little rusty, just kind of threw out, even just when they were like throwing against air and working on routes and things like that. And it ended up with him getting better and better as the day went on. So they go into 11-on-11, 1st down. Lamar sees a cushion, hits Sammy Watkins. Him and Sammy Watkins, I think, are going to have good rapport. Hits him really cleanly. Got like at least 6 yards. Might have gotten like a 30-yard gain if they're tackling. I can't really gauge it, but really nice. Then on 2nd down, so I think they called it like a 6-yard gain. 2nd down, he tried to hit Watkins downfield. That was the Humphrey defensive pass interference. I also saw that the Ravens ran a toss with a GT front pull outside the numbers. So it was Cleveland and Sorrell maybe with the 2nd team. Cleveland was working with like the 2s and 3s today. They had a toss and it was a front side pull. So the left tackle and the left guard play side pulled, got outside the numbers, and that looked like it was going to be a really successful play if it was live. I think Justice Hill was the back. I also saw a fun play that was a 2x2 jet motion speed triple option. I think it was Jalen Moore came from the slot across Lamar's fit or across Tyler Huntley's face. And then they rode that out, then went with the speed option. Huntley hit a fake pitch, very fast, very in sync, looked very clean. Defense would have gotten wrecked on that one from what I could see. Then Lamar, I had an underthrow to Duvernay, and Humphrey was on Duvernay's hip, and Duvernay gave him a little push off. Offensive pass interference got called. It definitely looked like offensive pass interference. Lamar had a nice seam to Prochet. I had down the middle. So they are a dig. I think it was actually a dig. I don't know why I wrote down seam. My mind must not have been in the right place, but Lamar hit Prochet on a nice dig, and Lamar started to zip the ball. Spiral looks pretty good. Everybody's always concerned about the wobble, whatever. Ball looks pretty clean. The biggest difference for me coming back first day seeing Lamar versus watching Huntley and McSorley for the duration of training camp so far, my dog's like going crazy, going snuffy on the carpet. So if you hear some weird noises, that's what that is, whatever. Well, we'll deal with that. But so biggest difference for me is how much quicker the ball comes out. Huntley, McSorley, kind of scan, and it's like, all right, that would have been a sack, or like you're not going to get 8 seconds back there. And wasn't the case with Lamar. Ball comes out quick. He was a little skittish to start the day, was like scrambling a little bit, and then he just started firing. Ball's coming out way quicker. So that is encouraging to see. It gives the defense a more realistic look of covering in phase and covering in the rhythm of actual plays. So I think Lamar's also giving the defense better looks that way. Then Lamar really started getting sharp, especially over the middle of the field as usual. I think he's, one of the best throwers between the hashes and between the numbers in the entire NFL, like top 3, top 4. So hit Andrews on quite a few plays. And Andrews has had like a little bit of he's had some really spectacular catches here and there, but Lamar is going back to Andrews, night and day. Andrews is catching 8 passes with the first team offense a day versus, 3 or 4, like hitting a couple speed outs and things like Huntley and McSorley. Lamar is like understands what Andrews can do. He hit a ball that I want to say was like a too high, maybe a cover 4 look. And there was like 4 defenders there. Lamar put it way up and behind, and like Andrews was jumping before the ball even left Lamar's hands. It was beautiful. Andrews makes a 1-hand snag between like 4 defenders. And Lamar knows where Andrews can like shield the ball away from the defense. So Andrews became a problem. Josh Oliver had a couple drops early on. Then he turned into a nightmare later in kind of like some split field 7-on-7 goal to go situations, which is like one side of an offensive play against one side of the defense. And they'll just like run a 3-man route concept, and it'll be, defense passing it off, whatever. Oliver mossed like Anthony Averett. He had multiple touchdowns. So he started to really turn it on towards the end there. I talked about, I had McSorley threw into double coverage trying to split Washington and Westry. And it's funny because Westry is like the tallest cornerback in the NFL possibly, and Washington might be the shortest safety. Great pass breakup. Westry was making pass breakups again. It felt like last week when before I went to that wedding, felt like Westry was starting to come back down to earth a little bit. Some guys were catching balls. Today he looked sharp as a whistle, or sharp as a knife again today. Multiple pass breakups. He was confident. He was giving the finger wag, like all that good stuff. So he looked really good. Sean Wade had like 2 pass breakups in like my 2 notes were Wade pass breakup, split field 7-on-7 goal to go on Gus Edwards. They tried to run a little concept and sneak Gus Edwards out the back door. Wade just came and like dunked on Edwards and ripped the ball out and was like real pumped about that. Then I had a pass breakup from Wade on a 50-50 ball in the end zone on Sammy Watkins. So he's able to rip the ball again. Benjamin Victor, very interesting cat, man. Very interesting cat. I've talked about him. He's kind of a rare mover. He is lanky. He kind of like is a deer. He's very sudden, very twitchy, and he has outstanding body control. He has good balance, and he's able to make some really nice toe tap type catches on the sideline. He had one on Marlon Humphrey in the back of the end zone where Marlon was like in phase to make a play on the ball. It was a little underthrown, and Victor just like contorted his body, snatched the ball really quickly. Like, I don't think Humphrey knew that Victor could make a play on the ball as quickly as he did. So he just kind of reached back, snagged it so quickly, pulled the ball in, tapped his feet, touchdown. Really beautiful catch there. McSorley hit Tylan Wallace on a comeback, like a traditional boot, like almost the one you'll run in Madden where you just boot right. There's like the 3 levels, like the fullback comes out of the backfield, the tight ends like towards the middle of the field, and then the receiver on the outside runs a comeback. And McSorley threw a nice ball to Wallace on Averett. Then I wrote down Washington pass breakup, 3rd of the day at least. So that was very, very interesting to see him have a great day. Justin Houston, my first time seeing him. I had down Houston bull rush on Adrian Ely, LOL. Whoo. Houston came in hot on Adrian Ely. Had such a beautiful angle to make Ely open up like he was going to speed rush, but he was just in such a neutral place where he could have gone inside, he could have gone with the bull rush, or he could have gone outside. He had such a nice track, and Ely's starting to, feel the threat of the speed, and Houston just sunk his helmet right into Ely's chest. Perfect hand placement. I saw both of Ely's feet come off the ground, jacked him right back. Houston looked really, 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 really good. So I'm going to come back to Houston. The last couple of things. Westry, really nice pass breakup above the rim. I put. Then I had Oliver drops, huge contested catch touchdown later. He had like a few touchdowns at the end of the day. Then I had to leave. Like, they get into kicking stuff at the end of the day, and I just kind of I don't really care. I just leave. It's like they're practicing blocking for field goals and field goal rush, and Jake Verity's kicking for 20. I don't care about that, so I leave. So Houston, I was like, I'll stay another couple minutes. They kind of split into offense and defense on different fields, and Houston was giving a full tutorial as if he was a coach that was giving a demonstration. Like, it was Owe, it was Dalen Hayes, all of the linebackers, and Houston is just like grabbing guys, pulling them over, and going through how to chop and then seal, or going over how to Euro step into a chop. And, he was showing like a stab and then a freaking swipe, and was like going through all these things. And it was just like, wow, he just got here he is giving them a full-on tutorial of what, like, just going all the way through. Like, I was like a little shocked. I was like, wow, he is basically just having his own session on his pass rushing repertoire. So that's fantastic to see. You got so many young guys there, the uncertainty in that room before he was signed, all that stuff. So, him coming in and just being an accomplished pass rusher, him and Calais Campbell are two of the most cerebral kind of technique, perfectionist pass rushers of their era. Campbell's on the inside, can, do some things in the edge, and then Houston on the outside, obviously. So having those two guys for like Matabuike, having them for Dalen Hayes and Owe and all these different, even Patrick Queen was like, yeah, I'm really excited to learn how to rush the passer from someone who has 100 sacks. So Houston was just given a full-on breakdown of what was going on, but it was just really cool to see that. I haven't really seen that too often, where it's just kind of one player that just came in and he's giving this entire demonstration as if it's like a pass rushing summit. I was like, wow, that's awesome. So that was really encouraging to see, just kind of, how to set guys up and doing some different things. So he looked great. But yeah, we'll get into some comments here. That was what I saw throughout practice. But do you think Lamar Jackson will take a discount? No. Owe was beasting today. He looks really great in space. I just think he's going to have to add a little more strength probably next year. So I'm anticipating him to be a really nice player in space, able to, chase quarterbacks down, make plays on the perimeter in the run game. I think he's going to be a good run defender. He's pretty sharp there, and he's I'm not saying he's weak or anything. I just feel like the bull rush and some other aspects I haven't quite seen yet. So I'm curious to see. I don't think it's bad. I just haven't seen it yet. So it's going to be nice to see them take some live bullets against the Panthers and throughout preseason and all that good stuff. Pass rush, made plays, killed Dorsey, had a sack. The pressure's there consistently. So it's, pass rush looks good. From what I could tell, there weren't pads on today, so I don't really focus on the line play. The O-line looked okay. There was a moment where Alejandro Villanueva and I think Patrick Queen collided, and Villanueva fell right down. I was like, uh-oh, and he popped right back up. So he looked okay. Has Sean Wade struggled to the point where we should worry about him being released? Nope. Sean Wade makes plays. He gets beat and he makes plays. I think he's safe, in other words. O-line looking bad. Ronnie Stanley just came back today, so that's huge news. Zeitler's not out there. It's not fully alive. So the Ravens' defensive front is definitely better than their offensive line, especially, obviously without Stanley. This is the thing about the Ravens' offensive line. Stanley is the only blue chip player on that offensive line. They don't have him out there, and he's coming back from injury. So I think there's definitely some, concern into how long it's going to take for this line to come together and what it's going to be. I think it's going to be more balanced overall. But in terms of real talent, Stanley's the only one that is a dominant player. So, I think expectations need to be tempered is what I'm trying to say there. Owe was beasting today. His pass rush looking good. Owe makes plays. He's in space, but again, it's not live, so it's hard to really tell. The hands team for DBs. Yep. Need Bozeman at center, or they're screwed. Yep. He's fine. He left a little bit. They'll be fine. Where are Patrick Queen stocks? Good. I like what I see from Patrick Queen. I like what I see from him. I like him and Malik Harrison. I think Queen is just a little calmer, and I think he's learning to trust his athleticism to allow him to be more calm. You'll be fine. Don't try to run ahead of plays. Let the play come to you and then go make the play once it develops. So I think Patrick Queen is having a nice camp from what I've seen. But again, I've only seen a couple days of padded practice, and it's going to be a little different when they're playing against a different team. So that's when you'll get to hear other things going on. His block sheddings looked a little better. Him and Villanueva locked horns a couple times today. Haven't heard much about Tylan Wallace. I think Wallace has had kind of a quiet training camp in ways, but I feel like he has been doing a really consistently strong job. So getting to the catch point, making plays above the rim, working in the middle of the field, working towards the boundary. I think he's very smooth. I think they're going to be happy with him. And I think he could be a 20 catch guy this year for sure in a crowded room. But nonetheless, Patrick Queen is more Arthur Brown than Bart Scott. Arthur Brown. Yeah, no. Patrick Queen is significantly better than Arthur Brown there. We're going to have a pass rush this year. Yep. What are the chances of Sammy being the number one receiver? Mark Andrews is the number one receiver. I think, Sammy's going to get some targets for sure. I think he's, second or third, but like Lamar loves Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is the number one. They want to go to him early, often, all the time. How's Bateman? Bateman was, he was on, he wasn't, he just came back. He's been tight. He's had some muscle tightness issues, some, callousing issues. It hasn't been anything too crazy, but feels like he still looks really sharp, still looks really smooth, but he's just not getting as many reps. You might not be hearing about him as much. And then this has nothing to do with camp. How many passing yards do you think Lamar will pass for this year? I think 4K. I'm working on some projections. Probably like, I don't know, somewhere between 3,350 and like 3,600, maybe 3,700, somewhere in that range. Probably like 3,500, somewhere around there. I'm still working on some projections. Those will come out right before the season. But yeah, that was pretty much long and short of what I saw today. I was a little, there was no pads. They were coming off of a rest day. A lot of guys are still out. Some guys are also coming back. There's all this stuff going on. But Lamar seemed like he was in good spirits. He looked pretty sharp there towards the end. He was a little rocky early on, but he was checking down the ball and doing some good things and getting the ball out quickly, like I mentioned. So good stuff in that sense. And I think that they'll be in a good place. Things seem to be coming together at the right time. Any updates on Ferguson? I think his roster spot may be in jeopardy. I think that'll resolve itself with injuries probably. Someone's probably going to be nicked up to start the season or something. I wouldn't be shocked to see them let him go through waivers, but it is what it is. Thoughts on Lamar vaccine comments today? I just hope that this can kind of be put to bed. I'm really just it's exhausting. I'm glad that the press conference got through with. It seemed like he was, pretty candid. I was wondering if maybe they would have him have a little like 30-second prepared speech, or something like that. But my opinion is this: just if you're the Ravens, have bring in some doctors, bring in some guys from Johns Hopkins, one of the leading research freaking universities in the world. Have them talk to him, and whatever he wants to do is what he's going to do, and whatever. I'm just sick of all of this. I just want to talk about football. COVID is exhausting. I know we're all exhausted by it, so I would like to see more focus on what's going on between the white lines. It's been really tiring with all these questions and concerns and everything, and it's just like, everybody thought he was going to make some crazy comment about, the vaccines. It's not Lamar's style. He was polite. He was, candid. He said he's going to talk to doctors, whatever. So, it is what it is. Hopefully we can move on from it here. And at this point, most of the Ravens are vaccinated. They have 90 guys, 80 something of them are vaccinated. So they're in a good spot. They're not like the Vikings where almost half their team still isn't vaccinated. So hopefully we're good to go here sometime in the future. Do you think Odafe starts week 1? Starts just means like you're on the field for the first play. I think Odafe is going to play like 40-50% of snaps when it's all said and done. At the end of the year, I think he's going to get some playing time. I think especially early in the season, you don't want Houston to be tired out. You don't want to overuse McPhee early on, so you want to use them on the money downs, on third down, and use them in crucial situations, and when you're trying to like establish a lead or when it's close. But we'll see. I feel like the Ravens, I don't know. I'll talk about stuff more on the podcast, but my thoughts on how this season might be a little different from the last couple of years. But I think they're going to try and get him his learning experiences early while saving Houston and McPhee. And then, maybe you see his snaps get taken back a little bit. Maybe he has some struggles a little bit. And then later in the year, I think we're going to see him come on really strong as he's had some more time in this defense. How has Malik used it outside linebacker last year? He seemed to be wide, but never actually rushed. Yeah, so he'll do that as like a base. He's like a base outside linebacker in like run situations for certain looks. So I feel like that's where he's getting used. And I think he had about 50 snaps at outside linebacker last year. But yeah, he's more holding the edge. They like to use his ability to stack and shed. He has such violent hands and is so freaking strong, long arms too. So he can really disrupt the edge and hold the edge down against run concepts. So I think that's where we'll see him. Maybe, a few more snaps there, but feels like they're going to rely on him in more of an inside linebacker perspective. And as he continues to learn the defense, he could transition to playing there a little bit more as time goes on, because he has the tools, he has the abilities as well as the build to do so. Was Lamar under center much? Not a ton. I think that the center situation this year, or under center situation this year, is going to be like teams that really struggle against what I've called the offense, which is the wide zone boot offense that the Titans and the Vikings and the Browns run. Teams that really struggle against that, they want that in their toolbox to utilize it, and they do want to use more zone concepts this year. So I think we're going to see a little more under center against certain teams that struggle to defend it. So if they see the Browns beat the crap out of someone that they're going to play in that offense and think they can replicate it, I think we'll see some snaps that way in that situation. And then that's about it. So that does it for me today. Here's a half hour here. Hopefully they're in pads here sometime tomorrow or the next day, but I'll be at camp the remainder of the week early on, and I'll be doing these live streams. I had some other things I had to do, but look out for on Twitter. I'll be announcing what time they'll go on. Hopefully they're around 11:30, the rest of these live streams, but that about does it for me today. Follow me on Twitter at Ravens4Dummies so that you can see when the live streams are going up and whatever else. But I appreciate you guys, comments, likes, subscribes, whatever, all the stuff YouTubers say, do all that stuff. Thanks. And we'll be recording tonight. So there'll be a podcast episode coming out tomorrow. For anyone who's new here, we do have a podcast that gets posted on the YouTube as well as to the RSS feed. So it's on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. But that does it for me. Appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.